Welcome back. Have you ever gotten a tray of questionable, aka inedible food at a hospital or a school that you just wanted to return to sender? Well, our next guest hears you loud and clear. Joshna Maharaj is an accomplished chef and activist working to rebuild institutional food systems, and she's here to tell us about her new book, Take Back the Tray, Revolutionizing Food in Hospitals, Schools, and Other Institutions.
Hello.
Great to have you with us, Joshna. We want to dive right in because you've got some fascinating things to say about this. You say, first of all, that a plate of food reflects the values and attitudes that produced it. What value then do you suggest there is in getting better quality food on trays in those institutions that Jess just listed?
Thanks. I think that one of the best values that we can put into our plates of food is there's two pieces. One, really good ingredients, really things that are well grown from the land that's around us. And the other piece is the good intention that comes with human involvement in scratch cooking. Because really, our current values on the plate are about the cheapest price possible and contract compliance. Right? That's all that's there.
Well,
there's nothing about nourishment at all.
Let's get into that because most of us have tasted the food in an institutional, from an institutional kitchen, but we haven't actually been in one. And for 14 years, you've been a chef and an activist, and you have spent time in these kitchens. So what red flags do you typically see?
One of the things that I see that was most alarming was that the space sort of walked and talked like a kitchen, but wasn't actually a kitchen, right? There was like a tiled walls and stainless steel tables, but notably, right, no knives, no oil, and no salt. And that told the cook inside of that very different things were happening in this place. And that's why I was like, I got to learn more, right? And like big equipment was collecting dust and covered in plastic. And that told me a lot about the fact that honestly, it told me about what it looks like when the soul gets sucked out of a kitchen, really.
Okay, so what replaced it? If you're saying that the traditional stoves and that were kind of covered in dust and over there, what has replaced it?
So there are many different things that have replaced it. Perhaps most clearly, it is food that is produced in another kitchen, in a sort of commissary, large scale, and then distributed throughout to institutions in the province or in the country or around the world, really. It's prefab food. It's lots of preservatives because it's very processed industrial food. A lot of times people are just opening Ziploc or vac-sealed bags and warming things up, or they're putting frozen hunks of things onto a tray that go into a hot box and come to the right temperature. That's really, it's a very sort of grim picture.
So you've worked to get more local, organic, and healthy food alternatives on the tray in these institutions. But how do you respond to the argument that the status quo, this prepackaged food, is simply cheaper?
There's no question that it is cheaper. What I want to say is that we are not getting any value for that money. And now, with issues around climate change rising the way they are, this system is also terribly wasteful, right? Because generally speaking, around 40% of what goes on those trays just takes the long road back down to landfill. And it's important to remember that it's landfill because of infection control in a hospital. We can't repurpose any of that food. And that, to me, is one of the big 5 alarm pieces, right? We are not spending nearly enough money for the food. We're definitely getting what we pay for, while simultaneously we have reports annually about how hospital patients are chronically malnourished populations.
The good news is that you've personally seen a lot of success in getting better food for patients, students, and society's most vulnerable. Now, for those who might still be doubtful that this shift can happen on a reasonable budget, can you give us like an example that could prove them wrong?
Oh, 100%. I love this conversation. Yes, we definitely can. It is a fallacy. It is completely wrong to imagine that good food is some sort of excessive luxury, right? I brought a pal in to cook a lunch entirely from scratch, entirely Ontario sourced, and it was in February, so that's a challenge. And when we roasted turkeys, we made potato and beet salad, fresh, quick pickled, and a cherry and apple crumble for dessert, right? Easy, simple food. And when I crunched the numbers, it was only another 33 cents per person that we spent. So there is no way, right? There's no way that we are going to get good food, grown well, cooked by a human, to be cheaper than food made by a machine. and industrial farming. But the good news is, for a tiny investment, I will give you an exponentially better experience.
We're talking a lot of this on the institutional level, but you're saying that this also needs to be a shift on the individual level. And you've said it many times that it often includes buying local. So is there a shift, a significant shift that has been happening here on that individual level that you've seen?
Oh, yes, it is very, very exciting. I think in the course of the last 5 or 6 years, farmers markets just here in Toronto even have grown like 400%. Right. So the interest in local food is clear, particularly in our life during the pandemic right now. We are seeing that local food systems are the ones that are in fact resilient and are the ones that are keeping people fed. And those networks are nimble, right, and able to pivot and move. And so local food is here to stay. There's no question about that. And it is increasingly becoming the better solution for us.
What a great segment. I think so interesting for so many people to read your work. Joshna, thank you so much for joining us here today.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Let's remind everybody your book. It is called Take Back the Tray. It is available in stores and online right now. We'll be right back.